Imagine a show so powerful it didn't just showcase music, it revolutionized it. A stage where legends like Michael Jackson, Whitney Houston, and James Brown made history, shaping black music, fashion, and culture. But then, one scandalous moment changed everything, wiping this legendary program off the airwaves and leaving fans stunned. How could something so iconic vanish overnight? This isn't just the story of Soul Train's end. It's the rise of an icon, the glory of its golden era, and the mystery behind its downfall. What really happened? Let's uncover the truth. The rise of Soul Train. In the early 1970s, television was thriving, but not for everyone. Black artists and musicians were shut out of mainstream music programs, their contributions ignored, their culture sidelined. Don Cornelius, a Chicago-based journalist and MC, saw this injustice firsthand. But he didn't just complain, he took action. A passionate music enthusiast and sharp observer of industry inequities, Cornelius envisioned something revolutionary. A stage where black music, dance, and culture could be celebrated openly, unapologetically, and proudly. With little funding, a small team, and an unshakable vision, Cornelius launched Soul Train in August 1970 on a local Chicago station. Despite its modest production, small studio, and minimal resources, the show instantly captivated audiences with its electrifying performances, smooth soul and R&B rhythms, and the undeniable energy of its dancers. Cornelius wore every hat: producer, host, talent scout, meticulously crafting each episode to not only showcase music, but to uplift a movement. The performers' unique dance moves and passionate displays of artistry quickly built a devoted following, turning Soul Train from a local experiment into a phenomenon in the making. Recognizing its potential, Cornelius made a bold move in 1971, relocating Soul Train to Los Angeles, the entertainment capital of the world. With a bigger stage and a nationwide audience, the show flourished, evolving into a cultural institution that shaped the sound, style, and spirit of an era. Legends like Stevie Wonder, Curtis Mayfield, and Gladys Knight chose Soul Train as their platform to introduce new music, influencing generations. It was where future icons were discovered and musical trends were born. But beyond the music, Soul Train gave the world something even greater: the Soul Train line. This now legendary segment, where dancers formed two lines and took turns showcasing their best moves, became more than just a highlight of the show. It was an act of freedom, a celebration of identity, and a symbol of artistic expression. What started as a simple TV program had become the heartbeat of a movement, proving that soul wasn't just a genre, it was a way of life. Beyond the music, Soul Train's cultural revolution. Soul Train wasn't just about music, it was a movement. From the moment it hit the airwaves, the show became a living, breathing reflection of black culture, shaping trends in fashion, hairstyles, and style that defined an era. More than just entertainment, it was a cultural beacon, a symbol of black pride and identity in a post-civil rights movement America. At a time when the media still clung to outdated stereotypes, Soul Train shattered barriers, bringing authentic, unapologetic representations of the African American community to mainstream television. For Don Cornelius, this was never just a TV show. It was a vision, a mission, a revolution. He openly shared his belief that Soul Train was a platform where audiences could see themselves, not as caricatures or supporting acts, but as the main event. And when the show went national in 1971, it made history as the first television program produced and hosted by African Americans. What started in a small Chicago studio exploded into a nationwide sensation, drawing millions of viewers weekly and becoming the launchpad for countless black artists. Icons like Michael Jackson and Whitney Houston credited Soul Train as a defining moment in their careers, a stage where they could introduce their music to the world with authenticity and pride. From its humble beginnings to its legendary status, Soul Train embodied Cornelius's dream, a show that did more than entertain. It united millions, inspired generations, and became the heartbeat of an era. Through every song, every dance step, every beat, Soul Train wasn't just television. It was a cultural revolution that refused to be forgotten. The golden era of Soul Train. The 1970s and 1980s weren't just the peak of Soul Train, they were the golden age of a cultural revolution. What began as a music program had evolved into a defining force in American pop culture, setting trends, launching careers, and uniting audiences through the universal power of music and dance. Under Don Cornelius's visionary leadership, Soul Train rewrote the rules of television, proving that music programs didn't have to be stiff, predictable, or lifeless. Instead, Soul Train was a spectacle, a place where music, dance, and dazzling stage production blended to create an unforgettable, electrifying experience. Unlike anything before it, Soul Train was more than a stage. It was a movement. Each performance was more than just a song. It was a story told through melody and motion. This was the era when Michael Jackson, Stevie Wonder, and Aretha Franklin lit up the Soul Train stage, bringing their sound and their magic to millions of homes across America. The show wasn't just about discovering talent, it was a launch pad, transforming rising stars into global icons. It was here that audiences first witnessed Michael Jackson's gravity-defying dance moves and Whitney Houston's once-in-a-lifetime voice. These performances weren't just moments in time, they were history in the making. Each show was proof of Soul Train's power to shape the sound, style, and legacy of modern music, cementing its place as one of the most influential cultural platforms of all time. Beyond the music, Soul Train's cultural legacy. Soul Train was more than just a music show. It was a fashion runway, a cultural statement, and a movement in motion. Every episode was a spectacle of bold self-expression, where dancers and artists turned the stage into a living canvas of vibrant colors, voluminous afro hairstyles, and glittering high-heeled boots. It wasn't just about looking good. It was about being seen, being celebrated, and owning every inch of the moment. And at the heart of this dazzling display was the legendary Soul Train line, where dancers took turns showcasing their most electrifying, uninhibited moves. What started as a segment became a global phenomenon, imitated, admired, and forever embedded in pop culture history. But Soul Train wasn't just about individual expression, it was about community. Week after week, it brought people together, turning living rooms into mini dance floors, where families and friends gathered to watch, groove, and celebrate. In many Black households, Soul Train wasn't just a show. It was an event, a tradition, a shared experience. And its influence didn't stop at the U.S. border. The show's impact rippled across continents, inspiring international music programs and introducing African-American culture to the world. For many global artists, performing on Soul Train was a career milestone, a moment that validated their place in the industry. Behind all this success stood Don Cornelius, the soul of Soul Train. With his smooth voice, effortless charm, and commanding presence, he wasn't just a host, he was the heart and spirit of the show. His signature phrase, love, peace, and soul, wasn't just a sign-off. It was a philosophy, a message of unity that defined the show's very essence. The golden era of Soul Train wasn't just a chapter in television history, it was a cultural epic where music, fashion, and community came together to create a legacy that still resonates today. The legacy and evolution of Soul Train. Like all shining stars, Soul Train's dazzling era gradually dimmed, giving way to a changing entertainment landscape. But before its decline, the show had already etched its name in history, shaping music, fashion, and culture for over 3 decades. It wasn't just a TV program. It was a cultural icon, a place where black music, fashion, and community pride converged. Born in an era when black artists were often overlooked, Soul Train gave them a stage to be heard, seen, and celebrated. Legends like Marvin Gaye, Aretha Franklin, and Stevie Wonder didn't just perform. They connected with audiences in a way mainstream television never allowed. It wasn't just about playing music, it was about telling stories, affirming identities, and cementing legacies. Beyond music, Soul Train was also a style revolution. The show's dancers, decked out in afros, shimmering jumpsuits, and disco-style vests, became fashion icons, setting trends that rippled through the 70s and 80s, influencing not just the African-American community, but global pop culture. But Soul Train didn't just document trends, it pioneered them. As the 80s and 90s ushered in hip-hop, Soul Train adapted, becoming the first major TV stage for rising rap icons like Run DMC, LL Cool J, and Public Enemy. Alongside these artists, dance styles like popping, locking, and breakdancing exploded in popularity, with the show's high-energy performers bringing street culture to the mainstream. And in 1987, Soul Train took things further with the launch of the Soul Train Music Awards, an event that not only honored the best in R&B, soul, and hip-hop, but also created unforgettable performances from Whitney Houston, Prince, and other superstars. The heart and soul of a movement. Perhaps Soul Train's greatest achievement wasn't just its influence on music, fashion, or dance. It was its ability to forge a deep and lasting connection within the black community. For millions of African Americans, Soul Train wasn't just a show. It was representation, validation, and celebration, all rolled into one. For the first time, audiences saw their culture, their style, their rhythms reflected on television, not as a novelty, but as the main event. From the music, to the fashion, to everyday lifestyles, the show fostered a sense of pride, laying the foundation for future programs that would continue to celebrate black heritage and excellence. Every episode felt like a musical celebration, a space where families, young people, and entire communities could come together to dance, sing, and experience the power of connection through music. But Soul Train was never just a television show. It was a cultural movement, a bridge between generations, and a symbol of love for music and self-expression. It defined an era, but more importantly, it left behind a timeless legacy, one that continues to inspire even after the program itself left the airwaves. Because Soul Train was never just about the past, its spirit of love, peace, and soul still lives on in the hearts of those it touched. But nothing lasts forever. After more than 3 decades, Soul Train, once unstoppable, untouchable, and electrifying, began to lose its shine. As the music industry evolved and television entered a new era, the show faced mounting challenges that slowly pushed it toward its inevitable decline. The brilliance that once made it a cultural icon started to dim as changing trends and industry pressures reshaped the landscape of music television, leaving Soul Train struggling to keep up. What had once been the pulse of black culture was now fighting to remain relevant in a world that was rapidly moving forward. The changing tides. Soul Train's struggle to keep up. By the late 1990s, the entertainment landscape had shifted dramatically. Audience tastes evolved, and new genres like hip-hop and pop dominated the charts, while the soulful R&B sounds that had once been the heartbeat of Soul Train began to fade in popularity. At the same time, reality talent shows like American Idol and The Voice took over television, offering a fresh, interactive experience that allowed audiences to feel directly connected to the artists they voted for. Compared to these fast-paced, competitive formats, Soul Train's traditional structure, though legendary, started to feel outdated. The competition only intensified. In its early years, Soul Train had no real rivals when it came to providing a platform for black artists. But by the 1990s, MTV, BET, and VH1 had taken over as entertainment powerhouses. MTV, once criticized for its lack of diversity, was now embracing hip-hop and launching innovative content that spoke directly to younger audiences. Meanwhile, BET offered a specialized space for black culture, pulling viewers away from Soul Train. The show, once the undisputed leader, was now being squeezed between networks that had evolved with the times, causing its audience to slowly drift away. But the biggest blow came in 1993, when Don Cornelius stepped down as host. More than just the creator, Cornelius had been the face, the voice, and the soul of Soul Train. His signature sign-off, "Love, Peace, and Soul," was more than a catchphrase, it was the heartbeat of the show. When he left, Soul Train lost its guiding force, and despite efforts from successors like Shemar Moore to revive its energy, they couldn't recapture Cornelius's magic. The show wasn't the same, and loyal fans felt it. What had once been an untouchable institution was now struggling to find its place in a rapidly changing world. The final years, Soul Train's unstoppable decline. As Soul Train's viewership steadily declined, the once loyal audience that had tuned in every week without fail started looking elsewhere for their music fix. By the early 2000s, the entertainment landscape had undergone a seismic shift. The internet revolution was in full swing, fundamentally altering the way people discovered, shared, and consumed music. Platforms like Napster and LimeWire allowed fans to download songs instantly, while YouTube quickly became the go-to destination for music videos and live performances. No longer did audiences need to wait for a weekly television show. Their favorite artists were now accessible at the click of a button, anytime, anywhere. This rapid digital transformation left Soul Train struggling to stay relevant. Once the ultimate gateway to new music, the show now found itself outpaced by technology. Younger viewers gravitated toward MTV, BET, and online platforms, where music was more immediate, interactive, and personalized. In contrast, Soul Train's traditional format, a weekly pre-recorded show, began to feel outdated and slow in an era of instant gratification. The financial downfall. But technology wasn't the only problem. As viewership declined, so did advertising revenue, and the financial strain became impossible to ignore. Producing a high-energy, performance-heavy show required significant funding, from securing top-tier talent to maintaining elaborate stage setups. But with fewer sponsors willing to invest, the production team was forced to cut costs, and the results were painfully obvious. By Soul Train's final years, the show no longer resembled the vibrant spectacle it had once been. The once bold and imaginative sets became uninspired and lackluster. The performances lost their magic, failing to capture the electrifying energy of its golden era. Even the artist lineup, once a carefully curated mix of the biggest stars in music, felt underwhelming compared to the iconic acts of the past. For fans who had grown up with Soul Train as a cultural powerhouse, watching its slow decline into mediocrity was heartbreaking. Yet, despite these challenges, Soul Train still retained a devoted fan base, those who cherished its history and understood its significance beyond entertainment. For them, Soul Train wasn't just a TV show, it was a movement, a cultural institution that had shaped music, dance, and black identity for decades. But even for the most loyal supporters, it was clear that Soul Train was fighting a losing battle. While competitors like MTV, BET, and VH1 had adapted to the changing media landscape, Soul Train struggled to reinvent itself without losing its essence. The show that had once dominated black entertainment was now being eclipsed by newer, more dynamic formats, leaving it desperate for a revival. However, what truly sealed Soul Train's fate wasn't just low ratings, financial struggles, or shifting audience preferences. It was something far more shocking: a single moment of live television infamy that turned controversy into catastrophe. A performance so polarizing, so unexpected, that it became the final blow to a show that had already been teetering on the edge. So what really happened on the Soul Train stage in its final years? Let's find out next. The final blow, a controversy that ended an era. For over 3 decades, Soul Train stood as a pillar of black culture, music, and fashion, an unshakable icon that had helped shape the entertainment industry. But in its final years, it struggled to keep up with a rapidly evolving media landscape. Viewership had been steadily declining, competition was fiercer than ever, and younger audiences were increasingly turning to digital platforms and reality music competitions instead of traditional television. In a last-ditch effort to recapture attention, Soul Train took a bold risk, experimenting with edgier performances and a more provocative style, a move that would ultimately seal its fate. During a live broadcast, the show invited a young, rising artist known for their boundary-pushing performances, hoping to bring a fresh energy that would resonate with modern audiences. But what unfolded on stage was too much for longtime fans to accept. The artist's choreography, attire, and explicit lyrics sparked immediate outrage, particularly among parents who had trusted Soul Train as a family-friendly space. What was once a show rooted in celebration, community, and black excellence was now accused of chasing shock value at the cost of its own integrity. Backlash and the beginning of the end. The reaction was swift and unforgiving. Social media erupted, with viewers expressing disappointment, frustration, and outright anger. Complaints flooded in from longtime fans who felt that Soul Train had compromised its core values in an attempt to stay relevant. The controversy escalated beyond just audience dissatisfaction. Major sponsors began pulling out, leaving the show in a devastating financial crisis. Without corporate backing, production costs became unsustainable, and the show's budget, once generous enough to support extravagant performances, high-quality production, and top-tier artists, began to shrink drastically. The network executives, facing immense public pressure, were forced to reevaluate whether Soul Train still fit their brand. The show had once been untouchable, a cultural cornerstone that uplifted black voices and talent, but now it was embroiled in controversy, its reputation tarnished by what many viewed as a desperate and misguided attempt at reinvention. For Don Cornelius, the man who had built Soul Train from the ground up, watching this unfold was likely heartbreaking. Though he had stepped down from his hosting role years prior, he remained deeply connected to the show's legacy. Reports suggest that he watched in dismay as the program he had nurtured for decades drifted into something unrecognizable. The vision he had once brought to life, a platform to celebrate black music, culture, and excellence, was now being overshadowed by controversy, financial instability, and audience alienation. By 2006, it became clear that Soul Train could no longer survive in its current form. After 35 years on air, the production team made the difficult decision to bring the show to a final stop. With a heavy heart, Soul Train bid farewell, closing a historic chapter in television history. The enduring legacy of Soul Train. Though Soul Train ended its television run in 2006, its spirit never faded. More than just a music show, it was a movement, a celebration of black culture, style, and artistry that forever changed the entertainment landscape. It wasn't just a stage for performances, it was a cultural shift, proving that black music, fashion, and creativity belonged at the forefront of mainstream media. Even after its final episode aired, Soul Train's impact continued to ripple across music, dance, fashion, and digital culture, proving that its legacy is far greater than just a television program. One of the most visible ways Soul Train continues to thrive is through the Soul Train Music Awards. This annual event carries the torch, honoring the best in R&B, hip-hop, and soul, ensuring that the show's influence remains a vital part of modern music. From legends like Mary J. Blige, Usher, and Alicia Keys to rising stars like H.E.R. and Summer Walker, the awards serve as a bridge between generations, proving that Soul Train's DNA is woven into the very fabric of today's music industry. It is not just a tribute to the past, but a testament to how deeply ingrained its legacy remains in contemporary music culture. But Soul Train's impact wasn't just about music. It was a style revolution. The bold, unconventional fashion that defined its era still resonates today, influencing runways, streetwear, and pop culture. The show wasn't just about listening to music. It was about watching an entire lifestyle unfold on screen. The afros, sequined jumpsuits, bell-bottoms, and platform shoes weren't just costumes. They were statements, declarations of identity and pride. Modern designers frequently draw inspiration from the show's fearless creativity, proving that Soul Train didn't just set trends, it redefined them. Even today, references to Soul Train's signature style can be seen in fashion collections, music videos, and even the resurgence of retro aesthetics in streetwear. Beyond music and fashion, the show's legacy lives on in digital spaces, where platforms like YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok continue to channel its influence. Soul Train was one of the first television programs that celebrated dance as an art form, and its impact can still be seen today in viral dance challenges, social media trends, and music videos. Every TikTok dance challenge, every music video infused with street-style choreography, every viral dance moment carries echoes of Soul Train, a reminder of a show that opened doors to boundless creativity. Perhaps most importantly, Soul Train built a community, a loyal fan base that still upholds the spirit of love, peace, and soul. Classic episodes continue to be widely shared, evoking nostalgia for those who grew up with the show and inspiring younger generations who never saw it in its golden era. Fan reunions, Soul Train line recreations, and nostalgic events prove that Soul Train is more than a memory. It's a living legacy. Even though it no longer airs on television, its spirit continues to bring people together. The energy of Soul Train lives on in festivals, dance competitions, and music culture, reminding the world that its influence is still very much alive. Though it may no longer be on the air, Soul Train remains a symbol of pride, creativity, and unity, a beacon for dreamers, artists, and innovators. It was a cultural revolution that cannot be forgotten, one that continues to shape music, dance, and fashion decades after its final episode aired. The train may have stopped rolling, but its rhythm, energy, and influence will never fade. What are your favorite memories of Soul Train? Don Cornelius, the visionary behind the legacy. While Soul Train itself is legendary, its success wouldn't have been possible without one man, Don Cornelius. A visionary, a risk-taker, and an advocate for Black excellence, Cornelius didn't just create a show, he built a cultural empire that transformed television forever. Born in Chicago in 1936, Cornelius began his career as a journalist and radio host. But his passion for music and social change pushed him towards something greater. Frustrated by the lack of representation for Black artists on mainstream television, he set out to create a space where Black music, dance, and culture could thrive on their own terms. With minimal funding and a dream, he launched Soul Train in 1970, forever altering the entertainment industry. Unlike other TV hosts of the time, Cornelius had an undeniable presence. His smooth voice, sophisticated style, and signature sign-off, love, peace, and soul, became synonymous with the show. He was more than just a host. He was the heartbeat of Soul Train, ensuring that it remained a space for authentic Black expression. But Cornelius wasn't just focused on entertainment. He understood that Soul Train was bigger than music. It was a business, a movement, and a platform for change. He fought for fair pay for black artists, negotiated groundbreaking sponsorship deals, and turned Soul Train into one of the most influential black-owned productions in television history. Even after stepping down as host in 1993, Cornelius remained deeply involved behind the scenes, ensuring that Soul Train continued to thrive. However, as the industry changed, so did the pressures of maintaining the show's success. Cornelius's later years were marked by personal and professional struggles, but his contributions to music, television, and black culture remain unparalleled. In 2012, the world lost a legend when Don Cornelius tragically passed away, but his legacy remains immortal. Every time an artist takes center stage to perform, every time a dancer steps into a Soul Train line, every time love, peace, and soul is echoed, Cornelius's vision lives on. His contributions weren't just to entertainment, they were to a movement that forever changed the perception of black culture in America and beyond. Soul Train's influence on modern culture. Though Soul Train ended in 2006, its DNA is embedded in today's music, dance, fashion, and digital culture. The pioneering energy of the show can still be felt in numerous aspects of modern entertainment. Music and performance styles. The very concept of televising live, dynamic, and visually exciting musical performances, now a staple of awards shows, festivals, and even social media performances, can be traced back to Soul Train. Today, artists like Beyoncé, Bruno Mars, and Usher draw direct inspiration from the show's theatrics, choreography, and stage production. The way modern artists blend music with storytelling and movement on television is a testament to the foundation Soul Train built decades ago. The evolution of dance culture before TikTok challenges, before viral dance crazes, there was the Soul Train line. The spirit of Soul Train's freestyle dance battles, creative self-expression, and electrifying group performances still thrives in hip-hop dance crews, street dance competitions, and online dance trends. The influence of Soul Train can be seen in modern dance shows like America's Best Dance Crew, So You Think You Can Dance, and even the dance segments of major music festivals. Fashion and aesthetic influence. Fashion trends from Soul Train, afros, platform shoes, colorful bell-bottoms, and flashy disco-era outfits have resurfaced in modern streetwear and high fashion. Designers frequently reference the bold, boundary-pushing styles showcased on Soul Train, with brands drawing inspiration from 70s and 80s black fashion. In music videos, red carpets, and runway collections, the vibrant, unapologetic aesthetic of Soul Train still resonates. The rise of black-owned media and platforms, perhaps Soul Train's biggest cultural contribution, was proving that black-led media could be a mainstream success. Before BET, before Versus battles, before the rise of black-owned digital platforms, there was Soul Train, a pioneering force that proved black artists and culture could dominate television on their own terms. Today's black-led media companies owe a part of their success to the path that Don Cornelius paved decades ago. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe so you won't miss our next exciting stories.